Hello, my fellow painters and heretics. My name is Richard, the channel is called New Memphis, and I am so glad that you could be here today. Everyone thought I was crazy choosing the purple. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy. Maybe I shouldn't brag about that. Anyway, today I'm excited for us to be painting the very first Space Marines that we've done on this channel. Shocking. Genuinely shocking. I don't know how we did that. We did 2 episodes on Fallout. Anyway, I am calling this Combat Patrol, and maybe the full army if we keep going with these, the Dark Angels of Star Command, though Bright Angels was a close second, and I also heard someone make reference to Gen 2 Megatron, which I very much appreciated. This is also the very first paint job where you can walk through it with me all the way from the brainstorming phase, before they were even assembled, and see them now that they're painted. It has been a journey, but it's been a very, very fun one, and everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy choosing the purple. Even I was surprised, but it worked. I also want to say, in addition to like, comment, subscribe, pledge your eternal loyalty, sign a pact with the dark gods, all the normal YouTube stuff, that according to my rough, very rough count, this is the 50th painting project that we have done on this channel, so it is a bit of an anniversary. It's been a time, but it's been a fun one, and I have been so blessed to be able to walk through it with you guys. I just want to say thank you, all you guys for your support. And obviously, I wish the channel had grown more by now, but that's okay. Life's a journey. Let's get on to the painting. It's only now that I think that, you know, maybe painting Space Marines sooner would have probably helped the channel to grow a little bit more. What am I doing? Proper. Yeah, probably painting Space Marines, like the most popular faction in all of fucking Warhammer, would have been something smart to do. But, you know, I guess I'm not crazy, apparently. Oh well. I couldn't keep doing Oktoberfest forever. I had to switch it up. But let's get started. Okay. To start these off, we're going to go through a thin glaze of Vallejo Royal Purple. And right off the bat, I'm going to recommend you guys do better than I did when mixing this glaze. My glaze was way too thick, and it definitely needed a little more matte medium and a lot more water to thin it up and make it, well, to not run the risk of clogging up all of the details. Fortunately, in the end, the project did turn out very, very well, but I'm going to seriously recommend you guys do better than I did and mix your paints with a little more finesse. Like I said, a few drops of matte medium and a few more drops of water would have made all the difference here. But in the end, it did work out. Now, what did immediately turn out well was this wash we put on next of Dark Prussian Blue. It created this incredible, this like really rich purple undertone that is just not replicatable with any singular paint, and I was so impressed with it that I am definitely using it on a future project. It was so incredibly cool. I originally tried this idea because I wanted to have more complexity, and boy did I get it. Not just because we're talking about Buzz Lightyear, but a genuinely spacey sort of vibe. I actually kind of wondered maybe like just a few flecks of like a white paint could actually have made them look genuinely starry. I really want to try that on a future batch of Space Marines, maybe for, I don't know, 40k lore. I'm sorry, guys. If there are any major psychers in the Dark Angels, I may keep their armor a bit brighter, I'm thinking now. Just keep that purple with the blue wash, not do the black wash we're eventually going to do to darken this up a bit, and just do white flecks on it to make like kind of like starry. I think that could look really cool. We spent a recent hobby hour figuring out exactly what the base colors were going to be, and eventually settled on a base coat of German extra dark green and a dry brush of azure. It gives us sort of like faux stone kind of texture look. We won't be doing the dry brushing just yet, but I did want to go ahead and get the base coat of German extra dark green down because I just feel like it gives context to the model. Like I still choose a lot of the colors for the model on the fly depending on how it feels. And so having the color, at least the base color of the base, really does help a lot to give that context of, okay, where are we headed? What's the model going to look like when next to it, you know? Even if it's not completed, it helps a lot. So I wanted to make sure we got that on there as soon as possible. And after that came the most intensive part of the project, and definitely the reason that it took so long to get out, because it was rather painstaking, but that's okay. It was still fun to do. In hindsight, definitely could have been a bit sloppier with it, but this is going to be a coat of intermediate green over all of the flat armor panels, as well as the pauldrons and the helmets, of course. Like I said, though, I kind of wish I had just been a little bit sloppier with it. You can always make corrections later, so you don't necessarily need to follow my precision here. But I will say that when I saw this dried next to that pairing of the Prussian blue and purple undertones, this was when I knew this project was going to come together well. Next up, pockets, straps, and holsters, and that's going to be medium flesh tone. I thought about going with flat flesh because it's a bit more orangey, which I thought would contrast better with the purple undertones. But since eventually we're going to make the guns orange, or at least that was the plan as of this point, I didn't want to take away from that. So I decided to go with the medium flesh tone because it's kind of a balance between the more orangey flat flesh and the more like sort of yellow ochre color of the more flat, the more ochre colored flesh tones and light browns that Vallejo has on offer and that I just happen to have here in my house. So I thought this was a nice balance and wasn't gonna be overpowering in the amount of orange, because like I said, I want the orange guns to be what really pops on this model. And speaking of the orange guns, best part of the project. Everybody loves the Nerf guns, and it's okay. I actually love that comparison. They totally look like Nerf guns, and I'm actually cool with that. They're fearsome looking and cool, and I like it. Who cares? Whatever. Orange can be a very, very hard color to use, but I think that alongside those purple undertones on the guns, it does work very, very well here. Traditionally, Dark Angels, as I'm sure most of you know, have bright, like hot rod red colored guns, which I gotta be honest, I don't think pairs super well with their paint scheme. It's definitely vibrant when put alongside the sort of like dark greens that they usually use. But the problem with using dark green and that bright cherry red next to each other is you run the risk of looking either Christmassy or too much like the salamanders. I think if I had gone with a black undertone instead of that deep like purple complex hue, in that case I probably would have gone with that hot rod red. But I think at that point they would have just ended up looking like salamanders, to be honest. In fact, I actually have kind of earmarked it that if I ever do paint salamanders on this channel, I probably will go with black undertones, a similar green to this one more than likely, and then hot rod red for the guns, and I think that would actually be a pretty good pairing. Now, I originally painted some of their undercarriage, like on the backs of the knees and the crooks of the elbows in medium flesh tone, just like the holsters, because, you know, it's leather, but they're really, really recessed areas, and I didn't want them being particularly vibrant, so I decided to go back over them with dark Prussian blue, just to keep the viewer's eye from being drawn to them. Then switched over to light green to do the trim around their pauldrons and around their neck, as well as a little bit on their backpacks. I also broke out white for the skulls and the Aquilas, which was painstaking, but there wasn't really that many of them, so I think it was worth the time to really go over them as carefully as I could. I went back and forth for a really long time as to whether or not I wanted to do a black wash for these, because I have to admit, they looked really, really good with just the base coats. But eventually, they were just a little too bright for my taste. So I broke out the black ink along with a little bit of matte medium and water and mixed up a black wash to go ahead and do these guys in a more traditional grimdark. Came out pretty dark and grimy, but that's okay, that is kind of the point. And we have those hard shadows that we're looking for. So the next step is just going over the models with the same colors we used before. Those are going to be intermediate green, amaranth red, light green, and white. To wrap up the bases, I did make one change from the hobby hour conclusion that we had. I decided to add a quick little wash of black red, which will hopefully make the Azure dry brush pop all the more, or at least that's the hope. And with that finally concluded, well, I mean, I guess it's time for me to shut up and us to just get on to the good part. Well, very first Space Marines done and dusted. It has been quite the journey on this channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, you are very much appreciated. I have been Richard. You've been amazing. The channel continues to be New Memphis, and I will see you guys in the next one.